this is TMG here. We're on a secret mission to find the rare extension of cable. I don't know. Is this the extension of cable even here? That is the smallest package I've ever seen. Oh, okay. This is the extension of cable. This is what I call a painted NES controller. It is now thoroughly cleaned. I'm going to go over it again with rubbing alcohol to get the rest of the paint off, just in case there's any more of those cracks. But this is a part 2 of a 2-part video. The first part, I got a package with 2 NES controllers, both with a missing cable. So it seems like someone opened these up, got scissors, and just, here, I won't take this all apart right now to show you. You'll see, or you can see in the last video, and just snip, cut it. So I got both of them for $10, and I'm fixing them now. I already fixed the other one. I used parts from a broken Retrobit NES controller I have, the Mega Man one, but I didn't have a spare wire for the second one. So I ordered a 99-cent extension of cable from AliExpress. And let's see. And I ordered like a week ago, so that's pretty fast from China. Okay. Let's look at this cable. I mean, literally 99 cents. Free shipping, too. With tax, I think it's like $1.25. But, I don't know. AliExpress, if you use it wisely, you can get some very good deals. And this is very nice. Now, what I would like to do is actually test this cable, because if I use this as a replacement cable in this controller, and it turns out there was something wrong with it, and I just spent all that time, soldering it in and whatnot, that could be a bit of a struggle, or, because you'd have to redo all that again and get a replacement wire. And you wouldn't be able to return it, because in order to use this wire, I'll have to cut the end off that the controller plugs into. Let's put this all back together, because, yeah. But yeah, as you can see, right there, someone just got scissors and cut. What were they thinking? I don't know what they need. Were there other controllers they were harvesting these cords for? I don't know. But, I don't know, if watching me repair this controller seems intriguing to you, I highly suggest you watch part 1, because this is not the start of this controller's journey. I got this. It was covered in black paint. I didn't even know these buttons were red. I thought they might have been replacement, or I don't know. But I've spent hours upon hours soaking these in rubbing alcohol and scrubbing it. And even then, there's still little bits of black in some places. So if you want to see a lot of the cleaning process, go to the part 1. And you can also watch me fix the other controller that came with this one. Let's look at this cable for a moment. I wonder how long it is exactly. I mean, for 99 cents, this already feels pretty high quality. I mean, it does not feel like some of those really cheap cables you get from under. I might actually link this buyer in the description. This is pretty neat. Now that okay, the ends are definitely lighter than your typical NES controller end, but the wire itself is nice and thick. I have some third-party controllers that are really high quality for NES, and they don't even have wires this thick. And this cable, it's not too long, maybe 5 feet. So it's not crazy long, but it's long enough to reach the NES, and that's all I need it to do. So yeah, let's go test this thing out before we cut this, do some stuff with the multimeter, if you know what I mean. Here we are, CRT, NES, the extension cable plugged in, and it's plugged into this controller. This is the controller I fixed in part 1, and it's going to be a very similar process to what I'm going to have to do that other controller, but I think it turned out pretty well. I'm hoping we can do something very similar for that other controller. Now, let's see if I can put this down and get everything in frame for a little. Okay, I'll even zoom in for you guys, because we're just that cool. Now, let's see. I'm going to test with The Legend of Zelda, because I've been playing that a lot lately. I just beat the second game for the first time. And now I'm about to beat the first one for the first time. They're also the only two Legend of Zelda games I've played, and I like them a lot. Okay, moment of truth. Make sure those cable's working fine. Oh, that's not good. That's plugged in. Oh, wait. Something's not right. The issue is I don't know if it's with this side or that other side. Because look at, when I finagle with this side, stuff happens over there. Let me try something real quick. Classic end, and the reason I did that is because it has a tighter grip. But I don't think it's that end I'm worried about. It's this end. Extremely loose. I think it's working now, yeah. So now let's try it again on the NES. Okay, I just recorded this working on the NES, but I think I might have been sitting in front of the camera the whole time, kind of like a dummy. So you might, I don't know. I'm going to look at that later while I'm editing. If you don't see that clip, you know it was a bad take. But just take my word, this works on the NES. You just have to, I don't know, I had used a different controller. I used the one from the classic N because it had a tighter grip on those pins than this. This end grips the NES fine. So this cable should be good to go forward with. Rack of the desk, and this cable works. I just thought if you could have like unlimited power or something, huh? Except you wouldn't be playing, whatever. We're gonna have to cut this end off, and as you just saw over there, this is the end that was giving me the trouble. So you know, the fact is that's the end we have to cut off isn't too big of a deal anyway. I do kind of feel bad cutting a cable I just bought, but it only cost me 99 cents, and ultimately it's for a greater purpose. You know what I mean? Bam, it's been done. Okay. Now I can see the colors of the wires there. Here's what I want to search up. Because in the last one where I added a new wire, the wires didn't match. Here, NES Controller Pin Guide. Here we go. Yeah, I put the link to the website in the last video's description. I'll probably put it in this one as well, just because it's a very helpful resource. Here we are. Okay, so this is the website here. It's really nice. Now, you might look at this and look at the pins on your controller and say, hey, it's inverted, but actually that's the console. So basically what's nice is you have the wires here, you have the color they should be, and looking at this one, no, I don't think the wires quite match because there's a green one. So I'm going to have to use, what I'll do is I'll use the multimeter, stick it in one side of the controller, so I know which pin it is, and then I'll use the other side to go through each of the wires coming out the other side of the cable, which will tell me which color they're supposed to be. These are the only ones you need to worry about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 and 7. I don't think you don't use those at all, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, unused, yeah. So you're going to stick your multimeter into pin 6 and 7, and you're not going to get any signal on the other side. And you might be like, hey, it's broken. But, just stick your multimeter in each of these, write down which one they're supposed to be, and yeah, there you go. What I try to do is just get it to a point where I can kind of just pull the cable off, but you never want to be, because even if you're pulling it off kind of gently, you can still cause these more frail cables in the middle to break, and you don't want to do that, because then you'll have to trim this cable even shorter, which would work, but then you'd have an even shorter controller cable by the end. Okay, we're making progress here. So now that I'm able to push some of those forward, I'm going to get my scissors and kind of make a slit down the back that I can, use as a tear point. There we go. Now I'm going to grab both halves. Now, in this way, I'm putting a little less pressure on the cables themselves and putting most of the pressure just on this rubber outside. We want just enough of this That might be enough, but I always do. Actually, no, that's perfect. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Cut this off. Now we have all of our cables. And what's interesting about this one is there are 6. Wait, actually 1, 2, 3, 4. Are there 7? Yeah. So maybe this one has those 2 pins that end up being unused. What's interesting is that other cable I put on that other one, it came from a controller, I believe, that had 14 cords coming or something like that out of it. So I'm going to do, I'll find the 5 applicable pins, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is shown on the website. And 6 and 7, I'm just going to trim to the base here. That way they won't make any contact with any of the important parts on the board and whatnot. So now, let's see. This can sometimes be the hard part, is trying to get the coating off these without, one, breaking the wire or completely cutting it off. That's some intense lighting there. Let's just chill that down a little bit. Okay, I'm just going slow because even though you could go faster, it'll be worth it in the long run to not make really silly mistakes. And never pull. Whatever you do, never pull on the cable. That is how you cause one to break in here. Just try to trim. There we go. There we go. That's what we want. And that's just enough to the point where we could tin it, where we can test it. So I'm going to do that to the rest of these. And then, yeah, we'll pick up with a multimeter from there. I finished with all these now. Something you're going to want to do is make sure you twist these. That'll help them, number one, have more structural integrity once you tin them. But here, well, yeah, that's the point. More structural integrity, better organization. They're also, it's just stronger generally, A little tip from my physics teacher when I had 2 years ago. Mr. Coons, if you're watching this is a shout out to you. You taught me how to solder in the first place. Okay, those look pretty good. Now what I'm going to do, let's get the website up. Now one is the brown cable on there. And there's a brown cable here. I do have a piece of paper, but it's okay. I'll get that. Now, set it to this setting. That way, when there's I don't know if you can see that. Now when there's continuity, it just goes beep, beep. Let's see. And there we go, the beeps. That's what you want to hear. I think this multimeter is from Walmart. If you don't have a multimeter, this might not be the most cost-effective version because there's people who do sell specific replacement cords for the NES, but they're like more expensive. But they are labeled, they do have the correct colors and everything. But you can get one of these and they'll work just as good for a lot cheaper. You'll just need to make sure you have a way to figure out which cable is what. Which, as long as you have a multimeter or you can borrow a multimeter, that's completely doable. Now what I do is I get a clothespin. So let's do one, which will be this pin up here. Okay. I have different size clothespins. Maybe I don't want to use the big one. We'll use the smaller one. Yeah, that'll be a little easier to hold on to. Good. Now, according to that one, it should be brown. Is it brown on this one? Hold on, is it? Sometimes it's really hard to... No, let's check the other cables. No. 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 Oh, okay. In this case, number 1 goes to yellow. So no, the colors do not match on the website, but that is not an issue at all, as long as you have a way of remembering, which it should be. We look here. This is what I did for the last one. Very basic drawing. I'm going to write next to this first, so I don't get it confused with the one I'm about to draw. What I do is I get the pin connector, and I just draw a very kind of rough representation. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Doesn't need to be beautiful, just needs to be close enough that you will be able to recognize it. And for this is 1 right here, I'm going to label this yellow. And then, okay, put that pen aside. Now, and you just do the same thing for all the other pins. You can ignore 6 and 7. I still might test them to make sure, because this has 7 cords coming out of it. I'll want to cut short the ones that I don't need. Otherwise, they could cause like little short circuits or something. So we will need 2. So we put our pin in there. This is exactly what I did for the last controller as well. Now we just gotta figure out which one it is. Not green, not red. Here, let me make sure you can see what I'm doing. Not green, not red, not brown, not orange. Oh, it's blue. Let me just make sure I'm not crossing wires. Yeah, blue. Okay, yep, and that's definitely pin number 2. So I'll get my paper. Blue. Just need to write this down for every pin. Now we go to 3, right below it. Let's see if we get a connection here. Yeah, this is a bit of a crowded workspace, but... Oh, there we go. Number 3 is black. So, okay, now let's go to number 4. And I didn't show this process in the last video. I promised to show it in part 2. So between the 2 videos, you should be able to see completely how you would replace the cord in an NES controller. But to be honest, you probably don't even need anyone to show you. It's one of the more simple repairs. But I do understand. It's nice to watch other people do things first to give you a bit of Oh, immediately green. So number 4 is green. Okay. Now, the only one we need to do left is number 5. The 2 underneath it don't do anything on the actual NES. I might still check continuity to make sure I don't cut the wrong wires, because it's always good to double check your work before you commit a change like that. So we're number 5, and it's red. Okay, and for funsies, I'm going to check 6 and 7 so I can make sure I cut the right ones. So yellow, blue, black, green, red. Yellow, blue, black, green. Okay, so brown and orange are the only ones left. So orange is that one. I'm going to write these ones in smaller font just so they don't stand out as much later when I need to be able to glance at this quickly while soldering. This last one should be brown. Yep. Now, yeah, 6 and so what I'm going to do now is we can move this out of the way. We've done everything we need to do with the multimeter for today. So orange and brown, we are going to cut those ones. Okay, so we got the brown. I found the optimal angle for cutting for brown. So we're going to go right to the base of the wire and snip it off. And you can save these little pieces of wire. Look, and I've already cut it there. I just need the other side, and I can use it as patch wire for something else. So that's always nice. So brown and orange. Orange. Okay, this is the best angle for cutting orange off. Here. There we go. Then we should have 5 wires. Let's count and make sure we didn't cut any. Okay, good. 5 wires. That's what we'll need. Let's go to the soldering station, which if you watch part 1, you know is actually the kitchen table. Okay, before we get started with the soldering here, I just want to show you this again. So this is why that website's so helpful. I figured out the color of wire that goes to each pin, and then I used the website to figure out what color that should be. So that's yellow, and it's supposed to be brown. Then I come over to the controller board. Right there it says brown, which means the yellow cable needs to go in there. It's important to keep good track of this because if you look down now at number 4, it's green, but it needs to go in yellow. So yellow doesn't go in yellow, yellow goes in brown. You know what I mean? So you gotta make sure you know what you're doing. So the first thing I'm gonna do is there's all this wire still in the hole. So let's just get all of that out. You know, we don't need the old cable wire anymore because someone cut that off. So what I do is I just kind of push it through. You have a sharp soldering iron tip, you can just heat up the solder and then force that wire to fall out, because even if you just heat up the solder, it still kind of wants to stick there, in my experience. And so far that's still proving to be true. Oh, so always wear safety eye protection as you're soldering. That's just good advice. Okay. That second one's almost out there. There we go. Good, good. Okay, 2 more. Who knows, you might not even hear this part because I might put music over it and put it through fast forward, so I don't want to bore everyone, but that's kind of what I did in the last one. Maybe I'll want to go a little more intensive in this video. The last cable, okay, no, there it is, it's out. So now we got all the wire out. Use a sponge to get all this remaining solder off. And I'm just going to try to poke holes through the middle of these to make sure there's a clear entryway for the new wire. Good. Good. I think that'll work, yeah. That one already has a clear entryway. Oh, come on. We know you want to come out. And sometimes if the hole doesn't open, it just means you have too much solder on the iron. So wipe some of that off. And then, you know, here, wipe that solder off. And I don't have anything like soldering, I don't know, that's that tape you would use to get the solder off or a desoldering gun. I just work slowly, and there we go. That should do it. I do believe so. Now, I'll put this aside for just a moment, because we need to make sure this new replacement cable is all prepped correctly. I twisted these up earlier, but I know this wire in particular for some reason has been giving me some trouble twisting it up. So I'm just going to twist a wire like this. And now be careful moving the soldering iron to a place directly in front of you. And what I'm going to do is hold the rest of those wires back for a little. And there we go, tinned wire. Twisted up correctly and everything. Now we gotta twist up, make sure the other ones are twisted up, and do the exact same thing. One. Maybe a little more. We'll get that tip a little better. There we go. tinned beautifully. Nice tinned wire, if you ask me. Now what we're gonna do, put the soldering iron aside for a little bit. Move this. Get your little sheet here. Flip this thing over and start feeding those wires through one at a time. Okay. Now. Okay, let's see. So yellow goes... Okay, so let's do white first. White is the equivalent of red on this. So let's get the red cable. What I do is I put it through. Red cable's through. Then I bend it over. That keeps it in place long enough that I can put the other ones in. Next one is orange. Orange goes to black. So let's put black in there. Okay. And make sure we fold that one over. Let's actually fold that over the other way, because I'm going to end up soldering them in that folded over position. So, oh yeah, let's get all the old wires I desoldered earlier out of here. Okay, the next one's, let's see, white, orange. Oh, that's interesting. That says white. What is going on with that? Oh, okay. I see. Okay. So this one's red, actually. And red is the equivalent of blue. So let's put that one through. Bend it over. Good. Brown is yellow. Oh, come on, you. There you go. And green goes to yellow. And you know you're doing it right if there's not any wires left over. Let's make sure. Because one side's NES colors, the other side's HVC. Is that home video? I don't know. I think that's for Famicom, because they use slightly different wire colors over there. So make sure I'm using this colors on the left side. Or, okay, red. Yeah, red goes blue, yep. Yellow goes to green. It's always good to check your work before soldering everything in place. Okay, but now we've got all those wires in and fold it over. So now all we gotta do is seal up those gaps with some solder. And usually there's enough solder left there, but if I need to add more, I won't be afraid to. And in this case, I think I might need to add some more. Okay, here. It's always good to add some fresh solder anyway. It helps kind of breathes new life into old solder when you add some fresh stuff to it. Okay, there we go. Try to blow that smoke away from you. You don't want to breathe that in. Don't blow too hard or you might blow hot solder off though. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to make sure all those look nice. There we go. Looks good. So now, the soldering part should be all over. I'm just going to get some clippers and clip those things off. Okay, so I got myself some big old clippers. So just go as close as you can to that solder blob and clip. There it goes off. And that way it looks nice and neat. And
and that will also prevent that from falling off later or something and causing a short, or any number of things can really happen. Okay, got a buttload of Q-tips. Now that we're done with all the soldering, I'm gonna unplug this soldering iron to let it cool, because if you don't need to use it, it's always safer to just turn it off. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is just plop some rubbing alcohol right on that spot. You don't be too afraid to put a bunch of rubbing alcohol on, because it evaporates very quickly, especially if you're using higher percentages. So don't be too worried. And from I don't know, I'm not sure, but I've heard some people say flux can be corrosive if it's left on there. So you definitely want to get it off there if you can. Looks good. Feels good too. Well, I played through a lot of The Legend of Zelda on that other NES controller I fixed, so maybe I'll have to beat it using this one. Only one thing to do is go test it and then clean up this massive mess I've made. Okay, we're recording, but this battery's low, so we gotta hurry. So let's get this cable. Don't do that to my controller. Oh, I already tied it in a knot. That's not nice, but it's okay. It happens. Now let's plug that in the console. Now let's get Legend of Zelda. And hopefully this controller works. Okay. Let's go. I think it works. I did everything right. Okay. B works. All the directionals work. We have a working controller. Oh. Oh yeah, I forgot. It has two pause buttons. That always throws me off. I think the game breaks or something. In fact, I think I just figured that out today. I was like, wait, I thought the way you pause was by doing this. Yeah. There we go. I'm going to have to end this video now because of the time constraint. Yeah. We got another working NES controller. And, let me get the other one. Because now I got a pair of working OEM NES controllers. Man. Maybe I can just get a better view of them for you this way. That's the one we just fixed. This is the other one I fixed, and if you wanna watch me fix that one, that'll be in part 1. Though I went through a lot of the same processes I went through here. Fixing this one I went in depth in some ways that I didn't with this one, and this one I went in depth in some ways I didn't with this one. So between those two videos of me replacing the wires on both of them, you got a really thorough guide. Though I think if you just watch this video, you should be fine. But yeah, I mean, and this feels great too. After I filmed the video for this one, I actually went in and replaced the membrane with the Retrobit one because the D-pad was a little bit mushy. But this one feels really great off the bat. I mean, yeah, and I mean the A and B feel good on this one. Same as Start Select, but they really, I mean, it feels like this one must, I don't know if it's used less or something, but yeah, and I mean it's a working NES controller. That's how you do it. So yeah, that's it for this video. TMG is out. Woo! Have a good rest of your day.